Good morning and welcome to Frank School, 7th year, 133rd day, first video. I want to talk about the first minute and a half of the movie Smitten, or I'm going to keep writing Smitten, but All You Ever Wished For is the present name. Cineroma. Well, when the movie begins, this comes on the screen, Cineroma, as the presumably producer of the movie or whatever, and then Handforged Films. I never really quite understood why the two have to be there, but they do. Now, the movie begins, and I'm going to take time with this. I would not do this for the rest of the movie, but I'm going to take time with it at this detail because it's the exposition. That's what you'd call it in Shakespearean terms of a play. Here's where you have to get everything going. Now, the first thing that you, as the soundtrack begins, you hear cows mooing. That's the first thing. Then you hear thunder. You might not even notice. Well, you probably do notice. Then you hear thunder, like there's a storm. Then the music finally begins. Then you see an old man walk, or you don't know he's an old man yet, you presume so. You see a cane and you see boots. Now, boots, I maintain, is a theme throughout this movie. I'll probably mention it every time it comes up. Anyway, that cane, you might think of it as a staff. It's clearly a cane, but there's a reason. Well, in terms of allusion to the Tempest, I believe Prospero had a staff. I don't know. The next thing you see is this incredible alpine beauty, not in all its glory, but it's in the background. And a man is speaking. You'll see his clerical collar, so you know that he's a priest. Now, he's already started to speak by now, and here's what he says. And the words are, one of the reasons I'm going so slowly is because you really have to get these words at the beginning. And he has an Italian accent. Now, there's been an awful lot of complaint in reviews about the use of the Italian accent, that it wasn't well done or whatever in the movie. I don't want to discuss that right now, but a problem with it is you have to understand these words, really every one. And he starts by saying, there is an unholy spell on this village. Now, he says there is, we would say there is in unadulterated, well, at least in my English, is, but he says is, which is a real quick way to sound like you're speaking with a Spanish or an Italian accent if you just change the short I to E. So there is an unholy spell on this village, by using that sound instead. All right, there's an unholy spell on the village. We're going to have to find out about that. He goes on, our foolish ways have stained our past and darkened our future. Now, it doesn't sound nearly as cool when I say it, but I'm saying it to make sure you understand. Here's what he says. You find out that he's standing in the rain, and you finally get to see his lips, which helps a lot. I'm going to talk about that as we go through the movie. When you can see someone's face, you can see their lips, and it's easier to understand. With the Italian accent, and often not seeing their lips, that might not matter in a movie that wasn't so dense. But see, this is Barry Morrow wrote this screenplay. He didn't just direct this movie. This is his movie, and the screenplay is dense. You really can't afford to miss words. He goes on to say that in the village there's this unholy spell. No one marries, no one falls in love, no one dares to. In Piano, Piano is the name of the town. In Piano, he says, but you know, a lot of people think, oh, he's trying to say piano. That's the Italian word for peaceful. That's the name of the town. Nobody does all this because of the spell. And then he says an old man who was dying, just before he died, did what he could to stop it. And you see an old man putting a pentagram with string across a door, which is a doorway into a barn, a small barn. He goes on then to say, I can bury a man, but not his sin. And so you presume that the old man, as he was dying, he was the one that was being buried in that funeral. Then there's a sight after he says that. Cat. After he says that, there's a sight gag, which I won't tell you about, but which is a good idea in a way. But a couple of problems with that for me was I thought it was raining. and the guy behind him is digging, and it's not raining. Uh, uh, and there's something else about it. Oh yeah, and I thought the guy was already buried. He's digging a grave, and the guy was already buried. Is he digging another grave? Because he's actually digging it. But anyway, the sight gag is kind of funny, but I think maybe not quite as funny as Barry would have wished, because of what I said. The rain has stopped in the meantime, and then the title comes on, and consider the font and what the font chosen for that title says about the movie. It's going to be magical stuff, and then the font disappears in this fairy dust, which I think is an allusion to A Midsummer Night's Dream. Then suddenly you're looking at New York City. I'm going fast. I'm sorry, but I won't go in such detail in the future. Bye for now.